Alright, so we have the man, the myth, the legend, Brian Lakeland. How you doing, mate?
Good, Denise, how are you?
Yeah, awesome. So, look, that round was incredible. It was probably the most exciting of the games in that round. You
Yeah.
know, the game with you and Adam. Tell us about what you were thinking pre-game. Think about your secondaries and what you were considering before you started that game.
Okay, yeah. Look, I was a bit worried was really worried going into it. I didn't actually know what my third secondary was going to be, because I knew I was always going to go behind enemy lines.
Yeah.
Because realistically, I only have to do that for 3 turns to get a comfortable 12 points, so I don't have to invest a lot.
Yes.
And then it was going to be a toss-up between banners and scramblers. Ended up going with banners just purely because I could at least get 5.
Yeah, that's it.
I wasn't going to have to use a lot to get 10 points. I could just comfortably get 5 and go, okay, I can try and limit his points.
Yeah.
And they'll bring it down, end up going, I guess, just based on how the table was sort of set up. I didn't think I was going to get any of his Talon Masters, so I had to kill his Dreadnoughts first.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, I was just going to lose.
Yeah.
So I had to commit to kill them, so ended up going with, if I can get a few points off this, I can scrape a few points, then that gives me something to help. So I guess in the end it ended up working, but
Yeah.
I didn't know where else to go.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a few people in chat saying, what about Assassinate to go for the Talon Masters and the Champion? You
Yeah.
obviously said, it's going to be easier to get to the
Yeah,
Dreadnoughts.
yeah.
Really interesting choice with Linebreaker. Can you outline what you can do with the
Your Hero's
Path, I
Path?
think? Hero's Path, yeah.
So I guess it gives you an option, and your opponent always has to screen out for it, where
Yep.
you can use 2 CP at the start of your movement if the 3 characters, so your Shadow Seed, your Solitaire, and your Death Jester are within 3 of each other, and you can teleport anywhere. So you teleport to their side of the board in their deployment zone, you get 4 points, you spend the CP in their turn at the start of their movement, and then you come back. So you can spend 4 CP, so it's a huge investment, but you get 4 points off it. So I can essentially, by spending 4 CP, I don't give up anything, and I get 4 points.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and they have to screen out, and then I can do that at any point. So that's why I still ended up going with 3 characters. It gives me that flexibility.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we saw that because you made Adam screen out. It made it easier for you to fight on the flanks, didn't it?
That's exactly right, yeah, because he had to keep stuff back. He had to make sure his infiltrators were backfield, and then he had to make sure his characters were protected. So there was a lot of things he had to do to make sure he wasn't opening himself up.
That's awesome.
Which,
yeah.
it helped a little bit, because his things had to stay back. He had to make sure his characters were screened, and then he had to make sure his Rites of War was in the right place. So, yeah.
No, awesome. And on top of that, we saw so many swinging points in that game. There's so many
swingy.
ups and downs. Like, for people who are listening and watching, I would really recommend you jump onto the round 1 and watch Brian's game. But hi, Adam. And there's so many points. There were a few key points where you had made a few advance rolls that got you onto objectives to take banners off.
Yeah.
There's a few key points, where Adam was shooting Talon Masters into truth and
yeah.
they survived, which is great.
Yeah.
But what were your thoughts in that mid to end game, or what you needed to do to win that game?
I guess the big thing for me was going second. Like, if I went first, I was going to lose that game. No matter what I did, it was just going to go down. Because going second now, you can almost get 15. Always, if you plan it out right. So I had to make sure I conserved my units. So like when I was trying to take points off him, I wasn't trying to give up too much. That's why I always made sure I wrapped stuff.
Yeah.
So like I was constantly wrapping his infiltrators or constantly wrapping his terminators, killing a couple so he couldn't hit me back really well.
Yes.
And then forcing him to either give up a point on oaths to fall back to get out of combat and stuff like that. So it was more just trying to conserve units, and then in the last turn, jump. And then just jump out on an objective, take him off banners, take him off other stuff. It just came down to dice rolls, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
Because that Talon Master should have killed all those players. That should have been dead, and that would have been his objective, and it should have been a 2-point win to him.
Yeah.
It just came down to dice rolls, I think.
But
I
look,
gotta
I mean,
say that.
you put yourself into a position to win like a very hard game to win. So that's definitely
Yeah.
something behind that. And it looked like you and Adam had a really tight game. At the end, there was like 15 or 20 people standing around you
yeah.
watching. So
Yeah, it was good.
awesome. Who have you got next?
Who have I got next?
Pretty sure I have Soli, right?
Soli. Oh, great. Number 1. That's going to be great.
So
It's going to be a really hard game.
Yeah,
Oh.
so Harlequin's going to the Demons.
Yeah,
But yeah, we'll get straight into that.
Yeah.
Any closing comments for your fans, Brian?
Oh, I've got fans now. Jesus Christ.
They love you, mate. They love you.
Harlequins are freaking hard. I'm dead after
Well,
game 1.
Mate, get a good night's rest. You've got 8
Yeah,
rounds
I
on the
know.
weekend.
Oh,
But yeah,
jeez.
good
I
work.
picked
Take
the
it
wrong
easy.
direction. All right.
I'll let you
Thanks,
jump
guys.
into round 1.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, and we've got the champion of the Imperium himself, Mr. Luke
Oh,
Pierce.
what's up,
Back
guys?
into it.
Back
What have
into
we
it.
got
Well,
for our viewers?
we've got a big round 2, man. A big round 2. Let's go to the leaderboard. So oh, that's not very nice, is it? So we got the top four. So Matt Marzoli versus Brian Lakeland, and Liam Hackett versus Jay Hansen. What are you thinking for predictions, Liam?
Well,
I mean, Denise. Sorry, I traded normal blokes.
it's interesting. I talked to, maybe I shouldn't say this. I talked to Liam before his game, and he's like, oh, I think I've got this. And I talked to Jay, and he's like, oh, I think I've got this. So those two guys are really keen on thinking that they've got the upper hand. I think that game could be so close. You know, Jay Hansen's got so much shooting and so much damage too, just in Blade Guard and in, you know, Inceptors. But on top of that, Liam Hackett's list is built and tooled to fight against Imperium. Because if Liam's list hits anything of value, it just kills it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that Jay doesn't have going for himself is every single unit, like each model he has in his army, is like 40 to 50 points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really expensive. It's Blade Guard and Interceptors.
Yep.
So Liam, if he throws 20 possessed at a juicy target and picks up like, you know, 3, 4, 500 points in a combat, which is very doable, that's massive for Jay. Like,
Yeah.
it's huge.
It's insane.
What do you think about the Chaos Demons versus Harlequins game, Luke?
Yeah, look, I don't know. It's interesting because I know the Harlequins are very mobile, very agile. I think, unfortunately, Brian might have the edge on this one. He's got the fusion boats that can take out keepers quite easily because they don't have a 5-up imbo.
Yeah.
Or, you know, Negwani hit or 4-up imbo, depending on which one you're looking at. And then the Demonettes can die to Shuriken quite easy, so that's kind of like his easy off-shooting target.
Yeah.
And the players can just hit, fall back, hit again.
Yeah.
And there's not much he can really do about that.
I'm really interested to see what Matt Marzoli does with his Beasts of Nurgle in this game. Whether he's going to use them as like a front buffer for the Harlequin players to hit.
Yep.
Because obviously the Beasts with their strat in combat can do mortal wounds in combat and things like that, which is quite potent against the Harlequins. But whether Brian doesn't even give him the opportunity by using curtain falls jumping back. You know, that's going to be interesting. So we'll get the streams up in just a moment. We're just adjusting a few of the tables. But yeah, the players are just starting the round, so we'll get the tables up for everyone to see as well. So yeah, tell us if you have any questions in the chat. You know, we'll try and answer them, and we'll get the games going as soon as we can. I'll just check with Luke on the mission. I believe it's Scorched Earth. So it's Dawn of War deployment. You can see the objective marker set up on the bottom right table is you know, similar to the Scorched Earth setup. So you've got 2 home field ones, 2 midfield ones. The mission-specific secondary for this mission involves taking one or multiple of your opponent's secondaries and torching them, which is particularly difficult. So I don't know if anyone will pick that.
So there's Jay's dropped. Ben's now replacing Jay.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we've had a drop in the round. So Jay Hansen has dropped from the event, and Ben Warrior is going to play Liam. So that is a mix-up. That is a mix-up for our round. We've got the Necrons going into Liam Hackett. So I'll get Luke to jump on for a second. And, oh, sorry. Luke is still...
That one's not even that'll be Jay.
Oh, beautiful.
So Jay's dropped.
Sweet. So this round we've only got the 2 games for you guys.
Yep.
So so yeah, it should be interesting. So why don't we go on ahead and I'll put in. I'll leave the leaderboards up there. And everyone's starting deployment. There's been a bit of a debacle. Just I think one player's dropped, so they're just sorting out who's going to be replacing and how that's going to work. So should be interesting there.
You guys live?
Yeah. You want to jump on and talk
Do you
about?
need me to hold this up for a sec? Or you just want to put it on there? It's a good idea to have the score sheet up there as well.
So we're just waiting for the players to deploy. So like I said, any questions, shout out, guys.
All right, while we wait for the chat to populate, we might go to a short break for us streamers and make sure everything's working properly. That's fine for now. Less people. Okay. We're back, fellas.
Here we are.
We just had a short break to sort out some changes into the top leaderboards.
Yes.
Maybe Denise can update you on that, and we can.
Yeah,
continue
so
on.
we just had a change in the pairings. So Jay Hansen has dropped from the event. In his place, we have Ben Warrior, who was Jay's last opponent, is jumping in to play Liam Hackett. So really interesting game. We've got 3 out of the 4 Queenslanders. So
Yep.
cool to see. Brian, Liam, and Ben playing for the Normal Blokes. Not sure why Ben's on the big cheese. And then we've got Matt Morosoli and Art of War. So Matt and Brian are playing. Really interesting game coming up. Chaos Demons against Harlequins. And then we've got Liam Hackett's Wordbearer's Possessed list against Ben's Necrons. So I think Ben and Liam talking about this before the game, before the event. They think it's pretty one-sided towards the Possessed, but we'll see what tricks Ben has up his sleeve, because I know he knows how to pilot that list well. And of course, for everyone who tuned into round 1, I reckon that was the most exciting game I've ever seen on stream. Brian Lakeland versus Adam Camilleri winning by 1 point. That was an insane game. If anyone missed it, please go back and hit up Art of War Down Under. The stream from this morning was incredible. But you see, you got a few new listeners or new viewers. Wayne in the show, awesome. Good to see Wayne. He's going to be on a plane shortly to join us, and we're looking at filling up the Normal Blokes house with 10 or 11 lads for the weekend. So for everyone watching from home, we've got 8 rounds of 40k streaming Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we've got 2 more rounds today. So this is the semi-finals for the Australian Masters.
Yeah.
Luke, what are you feeling for this round?
So with a bit of a change, who do you reckon wins out of Liam and Ben?
Look, I think Liam does trounce Ben in this matchup.
I mean,
However,
the damage for Liam is out of control against
insane.
Ben, but
It's
Ben
insane.
has the OBSEC.
Yep, that's it. Ben has OBSEC.
Yep.
So we'll see what Ben can pull off. The really interesting game will be Soli versus Brian, because it's the other way around. You know,
Yes.
Brian's got the OBSEC, he's got the explosive combat damage. The keepers surprisingly don't hurt Harlequin players as much as you'd like to think, because the 3 damage is lost, and then you've just got bouncing 4 up invos, while the players with rerolls can actually pick on keepers fairly well. So it'll be really interesting. It'll also come down to what powers that Soli rolls for his keepers, or if he's picked them. So
Yep.
yeah, we'll see how it all goes. But I guess we'll start the stream shortly. If there's any issues with the stream, any noise issues, or any lag with the video, just comment onto the chat. We'll try and fix it up. We have had some issues with Telstra. I've tried to get our boy Aaron Green to fix it, but sounds like they're under maintenance. So we are actually hotspotting off phones at the moment. It went well for round 1, but if you run into trouble, please let us know that something's going on.
We'll try and get it fixed
Yeah,
as soon
sure.
as possible. So why don't we head on in and we'll start looking at some deployment options. So we're taking you into this is Liam versus Ben coming on in.
Yeah, so they've started deploying. We can see Benny front boarding with the Scarabs. Obviously, a wall of chaff for the Possessed to hit.
Yeah.
And I think that's correct. You know, you definitely don't want the Possessed touching a juicy target, like especially the Spiders. You know, the Spiders the perfect countercharge.
Do you reckon the Scarabs are a bit too far forward though? Like, you don't want to give them free movement.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Ben still needs to set himself up to reach the midboard at some stage, doesn't he? So, I mean, it is interesting. And you're right. He has free movement.
Yeah.
So maybe if Liam goes turn 1, maybe Ben just backs off.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah. Because he can move after it
He can move, after that turn 1 roll.
Can
so,
Scarabs do it?
They can. The whole.
Oh wow.
The whole
That's
army
insane.
can, man. So yeah, it's amazing. So I'm really interested to see how the Ben Warrior, Tomb World, purple and orange Necrons, how they go against the Liam Hackett.
Special.
Yeah, the Mechanicus. Oh, not Mechanicus. The Mars ground Possessed units with little green arms and tentacles poking out. Let's see how they go. But and if I don't think Brian and Soli's game has started, has it? Oh, they've started
not
deploying.
quite.
So, Braden in chat bets on Benny. Necron overlords are coming together in support of in support of their own race. Sweep the leg, Ben. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how this goes. I'm really interested. If it looks like we might have a Queensland player. We'll definitely have one Queensland player in the final for Masters, but we'll see if Brian can get up on Soli. It's going to be a hard game for both those lads. And when they start deploying, we'll have a bit more to chat about. But yeah, I guess we'll go through our sponsors. So sponsoring the Art of War Down Under podcast stream today, we've got the Knights of Dice, who an awesome Australian company, makes lots of terrain, really cool modular terrain. We picked some up a little while ago, and it's awesome. It suits Ninth really well. We've got Smoky Pastures, who's actually running the catering for the venue over the weekend. Best Coast Pairings, of course, supporting the event, and the event is run through Best Coast Pairings. If you are a subscriber, you can check out all the Masters lists. Dragon Lane, which is a miniatures company and supporter of the show, and of course the Normal Blokes 40k podcast, which we're a part of, a podcast dedicated to improving the competitive 40k experience. But if you guys have any questions, please pop them in chat. If you want to have a little in round one, we have a little Vic first Queensland viewer chat. So if you want to represent your state in these finals, feel free to go nuts on the chat. But as it gets more exciting, I'll have a bit more to talk about. For those of you who want to as well, after today's wrapped up, check out the round 1 games. They were amazing. We streamed 3 of the 4 games. So yeah, it's going to be cool, and we're just figuring out some parameters on the for the stream now, and then we'll be up for the individual the group matches in a moment.
Just practicing my coding on the fly.
Yeah, Luke doesn't have a degree in IT or any kind of coding, but
just trial and error, boys.
Yeah, we're just being carried on the shoulders of Josh Diffie over here. We're just the monkeys behind the screen.
I tried to set up a. There we go.
Yeah.
Look at that.
There we go, Mr. Pierce. Look at you go. That's awesome, mate.
Yeah, so we got
He's a wizard.
the scorecard: 2 normal blokes in normal shirts.
Yeah.
Down the bottom left, and the 2 games. So now the top game there is Matt Morosoli versus Brian. And bottom game is Ben Warrior versus Liam. So we're just taking you this view currently while they all set up and deploy. There's nothing dramatically exciting going on just now. No. Just everybody playing with their very important, expensive 3 centimeter tall plastic models.
Yeah. So, guys in the chat, if you've paid attention to the lists on BCP for the Open as well, if you have any questions or if you have any people that you think will be favourites for the Open running over 3 days, pop them in the chat. I'm pretty excited to see some of the lists performing. I'm really keen to see some of the Gus has a Drakari and Harlequins list is pretty cool. We got Jeremy Martino on a cool Deathwatch list I'm excited for. We've got Luke Pierce on his Templars. So
he does me. Yeah, it's never played. I haven't played in about 2 or 3 months, and never played Marines this edition, so that'll be fun. There's a lot of pressure on me because one of my friends gave me the list, and he's like, "Man, don't fail with this. It's a good list."
Yeah,
so,
it'll just fall over.
There's a bit of pressure.
But no, I think the list has so much power. And Templars, I'm keen to see. There's a few other Templars armies here today.
Is there?
I think there's one or 2 others in the list. So
Hayden's been giving out
really
my list.
Excited. Yeah, I'm really excited to see. But yeah, in the Open, look, I'm with the matchups as it is now. I think Liam's got the upper hand, and I think Liam does pretty well against Matt and Brian. So he's my favourite for the Invitational, mate.
Yeah, Brian. After his game with Camilleri, make sure you guys check that out on the last stream. It was probably one of the best 40k games I've seen. It was so back and forth. It was unpredictable, and it was just top quality skill and sportsmanship, I'd say, on both parts.
Yep.
Yeah,
100%. And if you want to see a high quality game where you have a really good, obviously Adam Camilleri, Australian WTC player, Brian Lakeland, ex-Queensland player, amazing on Harlequins, one of the guys that we play regularly, and he puts us in our place with Harleys. Great sparring partner. So if you catch that game, the round 1 game, you'll love it, guys. And I'm expecting Harlequins to do pretty well this weekend, even with the changes. So yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. How's your hotspot going? Not that great, Denise.
Oh, the internet is not the best in the world, but we'll see how we go.
We might, if Denise keeps having trouble, guys, let us know, and we'll swap over to mine because I'm supposed to have 5G, although I don't know if I get 5G network here.
Yeah, so please,
Definitely.
please let us know if the stream starts to get laggy or anything, and we'll fix it up as quick as we can.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, deployment gets rather interesting because the thing is now we're talking about before in the previous stream. Deployment's not as I don't think it's as tactical as it was before the role. I think it's just more cagey. You know what I mean? Like it's more. I don't
You
want to
just
get
don't know
stumped.
anymore.
You just don't know.
Like
you don't know what's
even before, you knew if you were against an opponent sometimes that
Who
wanted to go first.
yeah.
So you could say, okay, if I win, I'm going to pick either to go first or go second, or just take second and do better.
Yep.
Or if if they want to go first, I'm not probably get second. So realistically, I'm just going to sit back and be more defensive. But now it's a total 50-50 flip. So it's almost like it's forcing people to have the army that can do both.
Yeah.
Like you can't be shoehorned into one. And man, the turn 5 primary change. That's
Yeah,
huge. It's so
dramatic. Honestly, if I had the choice, I would be going for that nearly every game.
huge. Yep, that's it. That's it.
Because I think the meta's also shifted from these massive Alpha Strike armies because everybody wanted to go 1st to now like more cagey OBSEC durable armies, which now they want to go second because you're going to have models at the end of the table that are troops. You just walk on the objective, get 15
Dude,
points.
honestly, yeah, if you can keep your troops safe, or even better, you have a free turn to blow your opponent away and get onto primary. You know what it feels like? It feels like having the end of turn in the old ITC format. How
Yeah,
strong that
exactly,
was. You
just
just push one thing off and hold more.
Yeah, and it's always because your opponent typically. I think it's quite balanced. I do think it's a band-aid fix. Like it wasn't an issue. It was an issue with the core game rules that was such a disparity. Even though we did have some contesters where it's like, nah, first turn's not that big a deal. The stats did show that it was a big swing. And now second turn, so the first person normally scores about 10 to 15 on average on their first turn. Now second turn players, with this change, will score 10 to 15 points on average on their last turn. So it really kind of counterbalances.
The issue this runs into, though, is when you look at a mission like... I like to use the Scouring as an example, because it's so polarizing. It's hold 2 for 5, but it's only 5 objectives.
Yeah, that's really
So
hard.
you either get 0, 5, or 15. There's no feasible way to get 10. Because if you're getting 10, you're getting the 15.
Yeah.
Now, the issue with that mission is you can play such a low points game where everyone either gets 5s or 0s, keep it tight, and then last turn, bam, one player blows out with a 15 on primary. So I think this fix even makes the Scouring even worse. But for the other missions, it really adds an element of, going second being really, really good. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm really, really keen to see these games. It looks like both players starting to deploy. The Harlequins Chaos matchup. Look at Brian behind those buildings, pretty defensive. And we've got Benny almost fully deployed by the looks. It looks like turn 1 roll's about to happen for the Necrons versus the Possessed.
Let's go into that one, and we can have a look at the deployment and see what we think, huh?
Yeah.
Alright, so here, if we're looking... Man, this screen's so small to work with, isn't it? We have to wait.
We're working on a potato back here.
It's literally a monitor from pre-2000s.
I think it's older than Luke.
Yeah.
I think it's actually older than Luke.
Well, yeah, it's an old monitor. Okay, so here we go. We've got...
Alright, so Ben's doing some form of a pre-game move, I think.
Looks like I'm guessing Liam got first turn. Ben's just tilting back. What do you
Yeah,
reckon?
just pulling around the sides.
Because he just measured previously, just before. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he was just pre-measuring how far Liam can move. So I think Liam's taken first turn, and Liam's opted to get his buffs off.
Yeah.
And just take board control early. Because if you can take board control early versus an OBSEC army, it kind of hinders their ability to zone you out, I guess. Because they're coming to you rather than you going to them.
Yeah, so it looks like Benny's got all his rates up in that top right-hand corner. We've got the spiders really centrally, a really interesting spot for the spiders to be. Yeah.
A little bit.
So the
that's our
spiders are in a
visual.
really good position, sorry guys, to jump out and react to that possessed threat that might come forward. And of course the rates around the corner could do a little bit of a play to steal some objectives. So Ben's been really smart with his deployment here. And I guess if he pulls around the sides and flanks a bit more and leaves Liam right in the middle, he can make a maneuver to hold more and take Liam off primary. So, a player of his caliber, obviously, going into a matchup that he doesn't really like, he's still looking for ways to score points. So I reckon this will be a really exciting game. We can see Liam pushing out now. He's got looks like some demonettes pushing out. We'll see how the possessed will move. I mean, Ben's got almost no shooting aside from the spiders, so I think Liam might be less hesitant to spread out. I think controlling the board is going to be quite helpful.
Do
But
you
of
think?
course,
Yeah. Do you
getting
think?
a free charge is not good again with some scarabs going into stuff either.
You think Liam's just gonna go full board control, just buff out?
Well, I mean, here's the thing: if he does, let's say if Liam does push onto 4 objectives, Ben can't contest them both because Ben will hit one, and then Liam will just interrupt and clear the other.
Yeah.
And Ben will have and then Liam will have 3 in his turn too anyway.
Yep.
So, I think Liam's he can set himself up to be quite aggressive. I'm really interested to see what Ben does with those rates though.
So Ben's secondary is not loading. We'll look into that. Thank you for that, Uncut God.
Thanks, mate. But yeah.
Is it? Okay.
So yeah, we got Liam doing I think what's the correct secondary is for domination. So he's got to push people off those central objectives and he'll get domination. We've got banners, which is also really interesting. He can just keep his 2 home field banners. And then he's taking grind them down, which is a cool choice. So Ben going second has some agency to grind them down. He can kind of pick a few units here and there to keep Liam's score down. But we'll load up Ben's secondaries in a moment.
Okay. We might have to.
So guys, we are just changing the internet over back to Adam's phone, so we might be a bit choppy for a second.
Give yours a go.
We should be good. Oh,
Okay.
no, right. Hey guys, give us a comment on the stream. If it's laggy, let us know, or if the stream quality is good, we can keep it as normal. So yeah, anyone who's watching, feel free to comment and just let us know.
Just if we swap, we'll just have to go down for about a minute until
Yeah.
we load it all up. It goes through periods, by the looks of us, of it.
Yeah, it could even just
good,
be our end of it,
Or it
because
could
we're
just
going
be
upload
our-
and download.
but we'll see how we go.
Yeah.
It's solid. You just missed it.
A little laggy. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Edward. So we'll change that.
Okay. All right. What did it say? I saw it for a bit. Liam cheats. Okay. All right, guys. We'll take a pause. And we'll swap. We'll stop hotspot. We'll be back with you guys in a second.